experience is not what happens to a man. It is what a man does with what happens to him.
Imagine this. You wake up before the sun, your body still aching from yesterday's hustle. You don't ask how you feel. You don't stretch or breathe. You reach for your phone and check your calendar. Meetings, emails, deadlines, a podcast to finish, a book to read, a workout to squeeze in. Your entire day is pre-chewed, pre-assigned, and prejudged by one sacred measure. How much did you get done? And if you get it all done, if you cross every task off your list, you feel good, accomplished, validated. If you don't, you feel like trash, lazy, worthless, behind. You can't rest unless you've earned it. You can't stop unless you're ahead. And even then, you're already thinking about tomorrow. You used to be a person. Now, you're a productivity machine. But here's the paradox. The more efficient you become, the more you're expected to do. The more you accomplish, the more you're handed. The faster you run, the faster the treadmill spins, until the very thing that once made you feel powerful is now the thing that owns you. What began as a tool for growth has become a noose. Your to-do list isn't a plan. It's a verdict. And no matter how many times you win the game, you always feel like you're losing. Why? Because the system doesn't care about your well-being. It only cares that you keep moving. We live in a world that praises burnout like it's bravery. We glorify the grind, celebrate the rise and grind crowd, and idolize those who sleep 4 hours a night in the name of ambition. But pause for a moment. Really pause. Ask yourself, who benefits from your constant busyness? What are you sacrificing on the altar of efficiency? And why does rest make you feel guilty? Why do you feel like a failure when you're just being? Who taught you that your value is in what you produce, not who you are? There is a reason you can't stop. There is a reason silence feels threatening. There is a reason even rest must be optimized. You've been sold a narrative, quietly, repeatedly, religiously, not by one person, but by culture itself. It sounds like, don't waste time. Time is money. You have the same 24 hours as insert billionaire here. If you're not building, you're dying. Grind now, rest when you're dead. It's subtle, but it's everywhere. And the most dangerous part? It doesn't feel like brainwashing. It feels like common sense. Now imagine this. You unplug. You slow down. You decide to rest, not as recovery, but as rebellion. Suddenly, the silence is deafening. You feel worthless, anxious, like you're wasting your life. Why? Because you've been conditioned to associate stillness with failure. Because productivity has become your identity. You don't work to live, you live to work. And here's the cruel twist. You're not even doing it for yourself. You're doing it to feel worthy, to outrun shame, to prove something, to someone, for reasons you barely remember. You're chasing a moving target, and the faster you run, the faster it moves. You are the hamster, and the wheel is made of gold. So here's the great question. What if your obsession with productivity isn't ambition, but trauma in disguise? What if your addiction to getting things done is the very thing keeping you disconnected from yourself? What if the life you're optimizing isn't even one you want? And what if the most radical thing you could do was stop? But it's not that simple, is it? Because there are deeper forces at work, psychological, historical, philosophical. This isn't just about hustle culture. This is about identity, survival, ego, and fear. To understand why you can't stop grinding, we have to go back to where the myth of productivity began. And when that voice rises up, the one that says, "You're being lazy," you can smile, because you'll know the truth. That voice isn't you. It's the system still echoing in your mind. But you're not a cog anymore. You're becoming whole again. Because healing isn't about becoming someone else. It's about finally becoming yourself. The self you've spent your whole life avoiding. And when you do that, you won't need a couch. You won't need a diagnosis. You won't need someone to tell you how you feel. You'll just know. Because you've met the deepest parts of yourself. And welcome them home. Let's get brutally honest. You were not raised to be whole. You were not raised to be free. You were raised to be useful, to be digestible, to fit. And now you're suffering from it. Not because you failed, but because you succeeded in becoming everything they wanted you to be. Productive, predictable, polite, powerless. Carl Jung saw it coming. He knew society doesn't care about your wholeness. It only wants your compliance. In his words, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Terrifying, because to do so, you must disappoint everyone who benefits from your inauthenticity. Let's break it down. You feel empty because the life you built was never meant to fulfill you. It was meant to extract you. You were taught to perform, not to be, to strive, not to question. To mimic, not to remember. You built an identity based on applause. Your confidence? External. Your values? Borrowed. Your purpose? Pre-approved. And every time your soul cried out, they gave you a diagnosis, or a distraction, or a dopamine hit, or a hustle culture guru with a podcast mic and zero inner depth. Modernity calls it mental health, but Jung saw it as moral anesthesia, a way to keep men asleep, so they never wake up and become dangerous again. Because a man who is whole is no longer manageable, no longer manipulable, no longer controlled by shame. He doesn't ask for permission. He doesn't need affirmation. He doesn't crave applause, because he has met the shadow and survived the confrontation. Let's talk about that. The shadow is not evil. It is your unlived life. All the instincts, desires, rage, passion, wildness, and fire you locked in the basement of your being. So you could be good, so you could be liked, so you wouldn't scare people, so you wouldn't be rejected. But every time you silenced it, you got smaller, weaker, safer. And now here you are, wearing a life that doesn't fit, smiling at people you secretly resent, working a job that starves your spirit, denying urges that could burn cities and rebuild empires. Jung didn't want you to be nice. He wanted you to be whole, to integrate the monster, to stare into the abyss and see yourself staring back, to consciously become what you are unconsciously afraid of. Because until you do, you will remain a slave to the parts of yourself you've exiled. That's why the emptiness won't leave. That's why no amount of money, success, love, or therapy fills the hole. Because you're trying to decorate a cage, instead of shattering it. Here's the paradox. You think your problem is internal, but it's systemic. You were handed a manual at birth. Be agreeable. Be productive. Don't be too angry. Don't be too wild. Don't be too much. And the reward? A job, a relationship, a weekend escape, a slightly better cage. But never yourself. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." But what if your why isn't yours? What if your mission was assigned, not discovered? What if your goals are the shackles that keep you from truth? You don't just need purpose. You need sovereign purpose. A path forged in the fires of your own soul. Not inherited from Instagram influencers or your dad's unspoken expectations. You are not meant to be a role. You are not meant to be a brand. You are not meant to be a content machine, a well-oiled asset, or a sanitized version of masculinity. You are meant to be unfolded, untamed, uncontrollable. The pain you feel? It's not dysfunction. It's disconnection. From the eternal, from the archetypal, from the animal within you that knows the truth and claws at your stomach when you pretend otherwise. You want peace, but peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of alignment. And alignment only comes when you stop betraying your inner world to please the outer one. Let me say it plainly. You are not a victim. You are a volunteer. You chose this life. Or rather, you chose to never question it. And now it's eating you. One performance at a time. One repressed scream at a time. One silent morning staring at the wall, wondering why you feel like a ghost. But there's a way out. And it doesn't involve manifesting or visualizing or vision boards. It involves war. The inner kind. The kind that Jung and Nietzsche spoke of. Not against the world, but against your false self. The obedient shadow of a man you became in order to survive. This is the confrontation. Not with others, but with the parts of you that sold your soul for peace. And until you name them, until you destroy them, until you kill the man you were never meant to be, you will remain in this fog, alive, but not awake. The good news? The real you isn't gone. He's just buried. And in the next section, we'll dig. We'll go deeper into the shadow, into the psychological machinery of your betrayal, and into the rituals of rebirth. Because if you want to reclaim your soul, you must descend, fully, without apology. Here's the truth no one told you. You didn't fall off your path. You were engineered away from it, not with violence, but with seduction, not by force, but by flattery. You weren't broken. You were programmed. The system is not designed to crush your body. It's designed to hijack your mind, to steal your instincts, to convince you to abandon your power voluntarily. That's the brilliance of it. You think you chose this. You think you're in control. But Carl Jung said it best. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Let's decode that. From the moment you could walk, you were being taught how not to feel, how not to rebel, how not to question, You were rewarded for conformity and punished for passion. So what did you do? You built a mask. Not one mask, but dozens. One for your parents, one for school, one for women, one for work. Each one sculpted to survive, to avoid rejection, to buy love, to belong. Jung called this the persona, the social face we present to the world. And the tragedy is this. You confuse that mask for your identity. But underneath that mask is a man you buried. Not because he was weak, but because he was too powerful, too bold, too raw, too wild for a world that rewards meekness and obedience. And now, that buried man is starving. He screams through your anxiety. He weeps through your apathy. He claws through your depression. But here's where it gets even darker. Because you didn't just wear masks. You also built an inner judge. A voice in your head that mocks your desire. That scolds your anger. That calls your soul's hunger selfish. That voice. It's not yours. It's a possession. A psychological parasite. Formed by years of conditioning, guilt, and spiritual gaslighting. It's the ghost of your caretakers. The whispers of your culture. The shame of your church. And you've confused it for your conscience. But it's not your conscience. It's your controller. Let's go deeper. Every time you felt a primal urge. To fight, to fuck, to scream, to dance, to be. You were told it was wrong. That it made you dangerous. That it made you bad. So you repressed it. But repression doesn't kill instincts. It mutates them. It twists your truth into self-sabotage. It turns sacred rage into quiet depression. It turns hunger into addiction. It turns clarity into overthinking. You want to know why you feel lost? Because your map was drawn by people who were afraid of your power. You think you're emotionally intelligent because you can talk about your trauma, but you've never met the beast underneath it. You think you're spiritual because you meditate and say namaste, but your soul is malnourished. You think you're wise because you read Jung, but you've never let the shadow speak. Reading isn't integration. Insight isn't embodiment. Knowledge isn't power. Only transformation is. And transformation starts with blood. The ego bleeds. The persona dies. The false self burns. Let's talk about the shadow. Most men misunderstand it. They think it's just their dark side. But the shadow is not evil. It's exiled wholeness. It's the artist you gave up to become an accountant. It's the warrior you silenced to keep peace. It's the lover you buried beneath logic. It's the leader you dimmed so others wouldn't feel small. Every time you betrayed a part of yourself to be accepted, you fed the shadow. And now it's full of everything you've lost, everything you've denied, everything you still need to become whole. Here's the worst part. When you deny the shadow, you don't get rid of it. You project it. You see it in others. You judge them for being what you won't let yourself be. That's why you resent the man who speaks his mind. That's why you mock the man who refuses to comply. That's why you feel envy, hatred, rage. And you don't know why. It's not about them. It's about you. You're witnessing the freedom you abandoned. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your judgment is a mirror, and every projection is an invitation to reclaim what you exiled. So here's the truth bomb. You don't need healing. You need integration. You don't need more coping tools. You need confrontation. You don't need to be enough. You need to stop apologizing for wanting more. Because the shadow doesn't care about your manners. It doesn't speak in polite affirmations. It speaks in fire, in fists, in primal knowing. And until you let it speak, you will always feel like something is missing. Because something is missing. You. Let me end this section with a brutal question. How long will you keep betraying yourself to protect people who would never die for you? How long will you keep the mask on, just to avoid the pain of being seen? You want freedom? Then prepare to be hated. Prepare to be misunderstood. Prepare to be alone. Because the path of integration isn't popular. It's primal. It's sacred. It's yours. And in the next section, we shift. We stop theorizing. We begin the rebellion. So now you know. You're not tired. You're not broken. You're not confused. You're starving. Starving for you. Starving for the parts of yourself you banished to survive in a world that demanded obedience over authenticity. And now comes the hardest part. The shift. Not a motivational buzzword. Not a mindset hack. But a full-blown spiritual coup. Because the man you're meant to be, he's not going to emerge through journaling and vision boards. He's going to wake up screaming, like a god dragged out of a tomb. Let's be clear. The shadow is not something you work on. It's something you become intimate with. You sit with it, talk to it, feed it, let it speak, and then you listen, without judgment, without flinching, without trying to fix or therapize yourself out of it. Because your shadow is holding your truth hostage. All the fire, all the lust, all the courage, all the aggression, all the instinct, all the freedom, it's all there, buried beneath years of performance. Here's what Jung taught us. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. You want to become a man of depth? Then stop chasing the light. Turn toward the dark, not because it's evil, but because it's real. You want self-respect? Start by respecting the animal in you, not taming it, understanding it. That's why your discipline keeps failing. That's why your motivation fades. You're trying to force your instincts to obey your ego. But instincts aren't servants. They're guides. And if you don't honor them, they'll burn your life down to get your attention. This shift isn't pretty. It's not social media friendly. It won't earn applause. It won't make you popular. Because the moment you reclaim your power, the people who benefited from your weakness will feel threatened. They will call you arrogant, selfish, toxic, dangerous. Let them. They should be afraid. Because the version of you they controlled is dying. And what rises in his place is untouchable. Now let's talk strategy. You don't heal the shadow by exposing it to everyone. You don't need to explain. You don't need to post about it. You don't need validation. You need ritual. You need silence. You need a sacred space where the ego shuts the hell up and the soul gets to speak. This might mean solitude. This might mean celibacy. This might mean walking away from people who once called you brother. But guess what? You're not here to be liked. You're here to be whole. And wholeness isn't pretty. It's wild. It's brutal. It's sovereign. Stop looking for a mentor to approve your rebellion. Stop waiting for a sign to take your power back. You don't need permission. You need initiation. A rite of passage into the man who remembers who he is. And rites of passage are always the same. You suffer. You confront. You shed. You become. This isn't about self-improvement. It's about self-reclamation. Because the boy they trained you to be, polite, nice, forgiving, pleasant, he was never going to make it. He was built to be used, not to lead. So here's the challenge. Fire start telling the truth, even if it costs you comfort. Fire say no, not because you're angry, but because you're clear. Fire walk away from anything that needs you to shrink to be loved. Fire stop rescuing people who refuse to rescue themselves. Fire let people misunderstand you. Let them judge. Let them go. You are not here to play therapist to the world. You are not here to be the emotional sponge for a society in denial. You are here to embody the divine masculine, not the sanitized, spiritualized nonsense they sell on podcasts, but the real thing, the dangerous thing, the thing that scares people because it's not controlled. Understand this. Silence is not weakness. It is dominance. Presence is not passivity. It is sovereignty. Stillness is not apathy. It is a sign you no longer need to perform. The men who own their shadow walk into a room and say nothing, but everything in that room shifts because they carry a weight, a gravity that cannot be faked. They are not looking for respect. They are respect. And yes, it will be lonely, but you're not being abandoned. You're being refined. The world that once applauded your performance will now resent your authenticity. Let them, because the boy in you seeks approval. The man in you seeks truth. And truth will burn, but it will also free you. The mask was never safety, it was cage. Take it off. Speak the unspeakable. Feel what they told you is forbidden. Reclaim the chaos inside you and mold it into order. That's masculine alchemy. That's individuation. In the next section, we stop burning the old and start building the new. We forge the weapon. There comes a point in the journey where destruction is no longer enough, where rage turns to resolve, and silence isn't retreat, it's precision. This is where the weapon is born, not in fury, but in form, not in noise, but in edge, not in reaction, but in presence. You are no longer trying to prove anything. You're not explaining. You're not defending. You're not performing. You are simply being, and that alone is confrontation. Understand this. When a man integrates his shadow, he becomes untouchable, not because he cannot be harmed, but because he knows what to do with the harm. You insult him? He listens, observes, measures. You betray him? He detaches, recalculates, moves on, colder, wiser. You underestimate him? He thanks you, because now you've revealed yourself. This is the man who walks without armor. not because he is unbreakable, but because his break made him sovereign. Carl Jung wrote, "The man who is not inwardly prepared for the use of power is more dangerous than the most unskilled man." You think power corrupts? No, power reveals. It unmasks. It exposes every weakness, every addiction, every false identity you're still clinging to. Which is why the integrated man does not chase power. He cultivates it, and that cultivation starts in the quiet. Here's the paradox. You only become powerful once you stop trying to be seen. Your energy withdraws from the audience. You don't need praise, it distracts. You don't need applause, it softens. You become low profile, anti-fragile, spiritually dense. People feel it before they understand it. They shift in their seats when you enter the room. Not because you spoke, but because your presence spoke first. This is the man who walks as the weapon. He doesn't yell. He chooses silence, because silence is clean. He doesn't flinch. He's faced himself in darker places than you can imagine. He doesn't chase women. He attracts polarity through self-respect. He doesn't overshare. He guards his inner world like a fortress. He doesn't react emotionally. He studies patterns, watches cycles, and acts with timing. His life is not random, it's ritual. His actions are not impulsive, they're orchestral. This man doesn't fight for validation. He fights for alignment. But don't romanticize him. He bled for this. He sacrificed comfort, community, and sometimes even his own reputation to become what the world could not mold. He had to be hated, to be isolated, to be misunderstood again and again. Why? Because men who wake up remind others they are still asleep, and the asleep will always demonize the awake. So if you're still seeking belonging, if you still want to be accepted by the tribe, you're not ready for the weapon, because this weapon is sacred. It's spiritual. It's surgical. You carry it not to destroy others, but to cut away falsehood, false beliefs, false connections, false masculinity. You become your own blade, sharpened by suffering, polished by solitude, tempered by the refusal to lie to yourself anymore. And here's the final truth. A man who has become a weapon does not fear conflict, not because he loves violence, but because he embodies clarity. He knows what he will and will not tolerate. He knows what is negotiable and what is sacred. He is slow to act, but when he does, it is absolute. This man is dangerous, not to the world, but to the illusion he once believed was life. This is the Overman Nietzsche envisioned, not a tyrant, but a man who has conquered himself so fully that nothing external can dictate his soul. He doesn't play roles. He doesn't wear masks. He is what he is, and that's enough. He is not unfeeling. He is deeply feeling, but his emotions are not masters. They are messengers. He listens, integrates, acts. So I'll ask you, are you still trying to be understood? Still hoping they'll get you one day? Still explaining, over-explaining, begging to be seen? Then you are still caged, still soft, still bleeding for their approval. And as long as you chase their understanding, you cannot understand yourself. Because the man who knows who he is does not broadcast it. He embodies it, in silence, in presence, in stillness, in unchanging principle. In the final section, we don't just echo the truth. We etch it into your bones. We end where this all began, in the quiet ache that whispered, "There's more to me than this." You always knew, not in your thoughts, not in the words they fed you, but in the silence that lived beneath your skin. There was always something there, a tension, a fire, a presence you couldn't name, but couldn't shake either. And now you know what it was. It was you, the real you, buried beneath the noise. Not the man you were told to become, not the nice guy, not the achiever, not the victim, not the savior. It was the man who watches, the man who remembers, the man who never agreed to the lie. Carl Jung warned us, the most dangerous man is the one who remains unconscious of his depths, because that man walks through life half awake, obeying roles, wearing masks, living someone else's destiny, and yet wondering why he feels hollow, why nothing satisfies, why love feels like performance, why ambition feels like a leash, why silence feels like death. But now you see that emptiness was never your flaw. It was your signal, the soul's final warning. Wake up, or die as a stranger to yourself. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be safe. You are not here to win their approval. You are here to become whole. And wholeness demands sacrifice. You stop trying to be understood, because being understood is a child's need. Being whole is a man's calling. They may never get you. They may mock you, fear you, abandon you. Let them. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the part of themselves they never had the courage to face. And you? You keep walking. Because you are not a role. You are not a brand. You are not a puppet for their wounded expectations. You are a soul with weight. A man with war in his blood. A being forged in silence and confrontation and sacred rebellion. Your shadow is no longer starving. It's integrated, disciplined, present. You don't run from your rage, you wield it. You don't suppress your sadness, you listen to it. You don't kill your ego, you lead it. You have become the man who walks into hell and builds a home there. Not because you love pain, but because you've learned to transmute it into presence, power, and purpose. So now I ask you, what will you do when this video ends? Go back to scrolling? Back to pretending? Back to swallowing the lie that something is wrong with you? Or will you remember? Remember the man inside you, the one who never bowed. He's not gone. He's just been waiting for you to return, for you to stop explaining yourself, for you to kill who you were told to be and resurrect who you really are. That is the path of individuation. That is the path of the dangerous man. That is the path of the soul. You are being measured by your own shadow, by your own silence, by the truth you already know. So choose, die as a role or live as a soul. And if you're ready to walk this road with clarity, fire, and ruthless honesty, subscribe, comment, share this with a man who's forgotten who he is. We are not here to be liked. We are here to wake up. Now go. And remember, you were never lost, just buried. And now, you rise.